Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly thread talk. I'm just putting my phone on silent so nobody interrupts us. And thank you so much for joining us, whoever is going to be joining us live. If we don't have anyone, that's okay. Thank you so much for watching it. Those of you who are watching the replay of this video, I'm sorry, I just realized that you can see all my kitchen mess over there, so ignore it, please. For those of you who don't know me, I am Sandra Gutierrez. I am the co-founder of Plyful.com. Me and my husband run the website together, and we are a lovely crochet community that is committed to creating a loving community of crocheters, but also elevating crochet, creating things that are not just your everyday garments, but having good patterns, a curated collection of wonderful designers that work really, really hard to create great things. And one of them is Maura Huggins. She is a little bit new in our community. I only knew about her recently, and I'm just so loving what she's doing. I think she's putting loads of effort into creating wonderful things that have cool texture, lovely color combinations, simple everyday things that you can wear that are, simple to make, yet make a statement. And what she's wearing today, I think you're going to love, because that's the perfect example of one of her wonderful designs that I just love. And I'm so glad to have her as our guest today. So Maura, hello. Am I saying your name right, Maura?
It's Maura. I'm not picky about it. You kind of say however, but
Maura. Mara.
Yeah, so you're good.
Mara. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny. That's my mom's middle name.
Oh,
But
really?
she never, but in Spanish, Maura. But she never uses it. And it's one of those things I was like, oh, I feel like an affinity with you. But I don't know how to pronounce your name in English. So. No, it's not. Yeah. She actually is a funny story about my mother. She has 3 names because she was born Catholic. And when she was born, they said that she didn't have any names from the Bible, even though her name is Raquel, and Raquel is definitely a biblical name. But
yeah.
So now she is Maria Raquel Maura. So she has 3 names because her parents had chosen her first name and her middle name, and the priest is like, you need another one. So now she has Maria on top. So now she has 3 names. But anyway, side story. So how are you today?
I'm pretty good. Just getting ready for the holiday season and whatnot. So
yeah, that's exciting. Where are you from? Where do you live?
So I'm from Pennsylvania in the USA.
Okay.
About an hour outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So we're getting some snow here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Are you a fan of the snow? Does this terrify you? It terrifies me.
I used to hate the snow. I have come to love it. I think it just is so pretty. Like, it's freezing here right now. I like it when it's freezing, but there is snow. If it's cold and there's no snow, I'm just not leaving my house. But like, I just think it's so pretty. I love snow.
Yeah. Worst thing about living in the snow, what do you think it is?
Driving mostly. I only got my license 5-ish years ago. I guess it's probably a little bit longer than that now, but I haven't been driving for like my whole life. Like, I didn't get it when I was 16. I got it when I was like 22, I think. I'm 29 now, so I guess like 7 years. So driving in the snow was really weird for me because I never like really learned how to drive in the snow. Like, the snow has been a lot less over the recent years, so it's harder. Like, it's not as common to be able to like practice driving in the snow, I guess. So that's like the biggest thing.
Okay. I think it would terrify me. Now that we're traveling in Betsy, we've had a few moments of snow, and it just honestly terrifies me, the idea of driving in Betsy. Like, I mean, I'm not even driving, but just like, I respect the roads with snow. You know what I mean? Awesome. And do you have any plans for the holidays?
Just hanging out, visiting family, all that. We're not doing anything too crazy this year, so yeah, just the usual.
Are you close to your family? Like, do you live close by?
Yeah, so me and my fiance, we're both about like 20 minutes from our parents. One lives in one direction, one lives in the other, so within an hour we can be between both houses. So that's really nice.
That is really nice. Do you do the whole like dinner with one and then second dinner with the other family?
Yeah, we usually do Christmas Eve with my family, and then we'll kind of like spend the night there just to be there on Christmas morning, and then we end up going to his house for Christmas dinner. So
oh, Oh, that's nice. That's really
Yeah,
cool. That's
it
a very
works out really
Mexican thing to
nice.
do. Yeah. I like that. And fiance, you say, so you're gonna get
Yes,
married soon. That's
yes.
exciting.
We got engaged in June. We don't really have like a date or anything yet, but we're working on it. My sister just got married at the beginning of November, so we're kind of waiting until that
Oh,
was over to yeah. And then my other sister just got engaged, so we've got a bunch of weddings over this
oh
couple
my
of
God, you
years.
guys just keep
My
stealing their
parents are
thunder, are you?
yeah.
So you have three sisters, two sisters. There's three of you.
No, I do have three sisters, so there's four of us.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I'm the oldest of four. It's quite the crowd.
Yeah, well, I have three brothers, but I feel
Okay.
like because I was there, it's like three boys and a girl. It kind of, I mean, it didn't
Yeah,
balance
balances it
out,
a little bit.
obviously, but at least there was a little bit of something different. I feel
Right.
like if I had had only brothers, I mean, if there were four of us, that would be a lot. But four girls, wow.
Yeah.
Is it poor parents or do they love having girls?
I think they liked having girls. I think my dad would have liked a boy, but I think he's pretty happy with how things turned out.
I
So
bet. Is he very protective of all of you?
he's pretty protective. He's chill, but he's a dad.
That's really
He's,
cute.
he's excited to have a son-in-law now and be getting another one, and so
Yeah,
yeah.
it must be hard for him to like say not goodbye to his daughters,
Right.
but just to kind of like get rid of all of
Yeah.
them and once. It's like, all right, go, you're not my responsibility
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Three kids,
For sure.
three weddings
A lot on
in
the
a short
wall
time.
as well.
Yeah. So you live with your fiance, is what
Yes.
I'm assuming? Yeah.
Yes.
And how does he take your yarny affinity? Is he good at sharing his space with your yarn?
I think he's pretty good at sharing the space. I think the spending is more his issue on yarn, but I'm trying to be better about that. So he's literally over there on the couch with my next project right now, and he's just sitting there playing his video games among my yarn. So
That's nice. And what kind of crocheter are you? Are you the kind that just leaves projects everywhere, or are you quite tidy and puts everything away after you work?
It's a little of both. I don't like to leave things out, but I'm also very lazy. So I am the type of person that will just throw them all in one bin and kind of hope for the best. So hopefully I'm not working on like a knitting project where it can like get undone and I have to pick up stitches and everything. I just kind of like,
Yeah.
if it gets tangled, I'll deal with that later.
Yeah. Oh, and the amount of times I find project bags with like leftover yarn from other projects that I did like years ago, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I never put this away, did I? Like my
Yeah.
needles and my hooks are still in there. I never put it away.
Exactly.
Silly. All right, cool. And do you have any other hobbies that you do in your free time?
I am really into reading right now. I've
Mhm.
set a goal for 50 books in 2024, and I'm, I think, 7 away from the goal because I kind of slacked off a
Ooh.
little bit. So that's been my other hobby this year. It's mostly just crochet, to be honest. I live and breathe it. So that and reading are really my two big hobbies, I guess.
That's awesome. I feel like I was talking to someone, another designer, about this. How I found this meme not long ago about saying like when people ask you what you do for fun, makes you realize how boring of a person you are.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm a crochet and reading. Like, just leave me alone.
I'm
Like,
just sitting in my house making my crafts.
that's awesome. So I will challenge you for the 50 books because I think I'm also about like 6 books away from
Yeah.
50 books this year. So I'll meet you at the end of the year,
Yeah.
see if you completed it.
We'll see how it goes.
What kind of books do you like to read?
I really read a little of everything. I'm mostly into like thrillers, like mystery kind of books, but I read fantasy, I read, just romance, contemporary fiction. Like I love the classics.
Okay.
I read a little of everything. I don't like to get stuck in one little bubble for too long
Yeah.
because then I get bored.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming kind of as well because like right now I'm into fairy fantasy, which is
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
embarrassing to admit, but I'm like I just think about fairies like on a
Right.
normal day. It's just like just stop, just take a break and
Avatar
read.
was my entire personality for like the whole beginning of this year because I read it for the first time and
Yeah, that's so funny. And what are you reading now?
So I just started it's actually like more of a short story. I'm trying to read like short books to meet my goal.
Okay.
It's a book called The Courier. I think it's on like my Kindle Unlimited, so I just picked it because it sounded kind of cool. It's about like a delivery driver who kind of becomes a stalker, I guess. I haven't gotten very far in it yet, but it's pretty good so far. So
Okay. Is
yeah.
it crime? I think I missed it. Crime mystery?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a thriller, like psychological kind of thing. The reviews say there's a big twist at the end, so we'll see.
Okay. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried reading a bit of a horror not long ago, and I don't watch horror movies, and I did not
Mhm.
know this book had like a horror aspect to it, and I could not sleep. It was awful. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't stop reading now because if I stop and I don't know that the person is okay,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
need
gonna
to
be able
stay
to sleep,
comatose.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm just like freaking myself out at night, reading, trying to get through this. And I was like,
exactly.
that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us about your crafty journey. Who taught you to crochet? Where did that come
So
from?
I learned to crochet when I was 12 years old. So I've been doing it for, I guess, like 17 years now. It was actually one of my mom's friends who kind of just had the idea to teach me. I never really showed any interest in it. I never like really knew what it was. But I started learning and I picked it up after like 3 days. It just came really naturally to me, I guess. And so I was really into it when I was, 12, 13. It kind of fell off for a little bit. I would like pick it up every once in a while, finish like a blanket or something. But then during the pandemic, I got really, really back into it. And when I got back into it, I was doing a lot of like color work designs, not designs, but just working on color work projects. Like, I mean, I just made this one not too long ago. This is the wannabe cardigan by Manatee Squares. Actually, this isn't one of my designs, but I've really been back into color work and stuff. Um, when I started my Instagram account, I kind of just was testing, just showing off things that I had made. I didn't start designing until 2 years ago, I guess.
Oh,
So it's been a
wow.
very short time since I started doing that. Um, it's been like a wild ride, I guess. I'm kind of always looking for new things like in the yarn world to keep doing. So design was kind of like the natural next step for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I when I was little, I wanted to be a fashion designer. So it kind of like came full circle. It's not exactly how I thought it would have looked when I was, 10 years old, but
Yeah.
it's definitely like it's fulfilled like something in me that I didn't realize I needed, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm
It's
hoping
not
to,
Devil Wears Prada, but
yeah,
it's
exactly.
yeah. It's our version of it, our yarny
Yeah,
version of it.
exactly.
That's really cool. And what about other crafts? Are you a single crafted person, or do you like to try different things?
So I have been really into knitting lately. I think with designing, crochet kind of gets like to be a little tedious sometimes because I'm always trying to think about how I can make this work for like my business. But knitting, I don't ever have any plans of really designing knitting patterns. So that's been my like other focus recently, has just been like casual projects, like working on other people's patterns. I've been knitting a pair of socks for like the last 3 days and not getting very far, but I'm trying my best.
Yay!
I'm
How
glad
is your
getting
so?
it.
I'm obsessed with sock knitting. Knitting is
Yeah,
my thing that I do in between work. I always
yeah,
have a sock project on the side that I can work on when I'm like I don't feel like crocheting or knitting for my business. I just want to
right.
do it because I love it. So I
Yeah,
need to like grab my sock project for that,
yeah,
and it's really fun. That's really cool. I'm glad I'm not alone in that boat then
yeah.
on the sock boat. And anything else like sewing, and I feel like a lot of crafters like try different things because we're just very I was restless is the word with
Yeah.
our hands, and like I've tried embroidery and sewing, and like I never really stick with anything. But like, are you like that, or do you think that yarn is like your main focus?
Yeah, I kind of like try a little bit of everything. I've tried cross stitch, I've tried embroidery. Um, I think it hurts my hands a little too much sometimes, so I only do
Mm,
it every once in a while. I've wanted to try weaving or like spinning my own yarn. That's probably like the next like little hobby I'm gonna get into, but um, I don't know. I'm just so obsessed with crocheting that sometimes I feel like if I'm not doing it, I'm like, well, this is a waste of my time. Um,
Yeah.
so I like to try it out and like learn new things, but crochet is that's my baby.
That's great. And are you the kind that can do other things while you crochet, like read or watch TV or talk to people? Some people even walk while they do it. Or are you like, I'm crocheting, don't talk to me kind of person?
I think I've been doing it so long that it's just kind of like second nature to me. I do read a
Mm-hmm.
lot of listen to a lot of audiobooks. I'll watch TV or movies. I don't know how people like I've seen people sit and literally like read a physical book on their Kindle while they're crocheting or knitting, and I don't know how they do that because I can't look at two things at once. But like if I can hear it, then
Yeah.
I'm content.
You're content. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like that's why I kind of stopped reading physical books, and then I gave it a go, and now I'm reading Kindle and crocheting and knitting at the same
Yeah.
time, and it is fun, but it's never that much focus into either.
Yeah.
So it's, but yeah, TV. But I feel like other crafts, what I have a problem with is that I can't do other things at the same time as I do them, like I do with crochet and knitting, and it
Right.
always feels like it requires all of my attention, you know. And
Exactly.
like sometimes I'm like not willing to give it, so I'm like, am I gonna learn, am I gonna like practice embroidery today when I could
Yeah.
like not and do something else, you know, that I
Yeah.
like falls easy. Fair enough. And yeah, so how did you go from, okay, I'm just a crocheter, and then when you went to designing, did you think of it as like, oh, I can't wait to like start a business, or was it just like a more of a natural progression into designing, or what was the
I
story there?
So I had set a goal for myself when I like started my Instagram account. I was like I said, I was like just testing. I set a goal for myself that I was going to write a pattern by like a certain month, just to see if I could do it. And then I put it out, and it went about how you would think a first pattern would go. I got a couple people to buy it, and it hasn't really taken off so much yet. I do get, I think, a lot of attention on my designs. It's certainly not something that I can make a career out of yet, but I think doing this and designing for Plyful like really was like the next big step in that kind of. It's still kind of progressing. It's hard to say um, how the process is going when it's still so like early in my design career. Eventually, I would like to make a career out of it if possible. But right now, it's kind of just learning and still
Yeah.
you know, just trying my best.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Just a fly on my camera. Sorry. No, it's really cool. I feel like there is a progression, right? That it takes in.
Mhm.
That's awesome that you're putting yourself out there and trying it, and you know you have different ideas and new perspective to things, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And uh, gosh, that sorry, that fly really messed with my train of thought. I had a really good question that I wanted to ask you, and then I just forgot. Okay, so what would you say is your favorite and least favorite part of your design life?
So weirdly, my favorite part is the math. I love like figuring out grading the pattern, design, like trying to fill out the spreadsheets and trying to figure out what I need to do to make this work for everybody. Um, Size inclusivity is very important to me. So I think sitting down and really figuring out how I can make this best work for everybody is like my favorite part of it. I know a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
hate grading and they hate doing the math. They just like making the thing and you know. But I think that's what really like made me get into it was like this is kind of fun. I get to like it's almost like a puzzle.
It
Trying to
is,
figure out
yeah.
how to but my least favorite part is probably I think the actual like writing the pattern and like formatting
Mm,
it, putting every single number in and like trying to make it concise but also enough to like actually help people like making step-by-step photos and putting as much detail in as possible. I have a tendency to just make it and kind of forget to take pictures as I go, and then by the time I'm done I'm like I don't really want to make a second sample, but I have to now because if I don't I can't get progress pictures, and
yeah.
it's that's my least favorite part of it. I think I just need like a better process is the big thing.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's problem because that happens to me. Yeah. And did you okay, I'm just so impressed that you started with the spreadsheets, because when I started designing, it never even occurred to me to use spreadsheets, and I would do everything by hand on a little
Yeah,
notebook. And I have so many notebooks somewhere of just like gibberish, and numbers, and it's like, how did I not think about using
right.
Excel? I have no idea. And it wasn't until like, I don't know, 3 years in probably that I decided I should probably, you know, do this more scientifically and
Yeah.
use the computer. And it just completely changed my life. And now that we're talking about your design process, like, would you say that you're more of a organized creator, like you plan your ideas and your design and then execute it, or are you more of an improviser? What would you consider yourself?
I definitely think I am more of an improviser. I'm trying to be better at that. I've already
Mm-hmm.
started like my calendar for next year. Like I really want to start at least every two
Wow.
months, like putting out a pattern, or at least putting it out for testing. I am very much the type of person that's like, oh, I have this idea. Let me just start working on it. And then it either I finish it or it gets put in the pile for later and then never sees the light of day. So I am trying to be better about that. I do have like a couple ideas on my hook right now that I am hoping to get out soon. So hoping to be more organized in 2025. That's the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, that's really cool. And thinking of your design style, can you think of a few words to describe your design style, like what you create?
I think I want
That was
my
that.
design.
Sorry, that question was not on the list, and I'm totally throwing it at you right now.
Yeah,
So sorry.
I think I try to like have a little something for everyone. I want to say that like I create just, really modern patterns for like everyday wear, but then like I have an idea in my head and this might be really niche, but like I think other people would really like it. I don't think I have like a
Mm,
set style. I haven't really found that for myself yet. I think my biggest thing is creating things that I like and that I hope other people will like too.
yeah,
Because a lot of my designs come from, well, I haven't seen anything like this before, so let me just make it for myself. And then while I'm at it, like maybe other people want this too. Maybe other people have been looking for this. Um,
yeah.
so maybe once I get a few more patterns under my belt, I'll have a more defined pattern style, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'm not just kind of figuring it out.
Not that you need it. I don't think I have a specific pattern style either, and I feel like it just you see a gap in your wardrobe or in what you imagine, and you make it. And that's
Yeah.
exactly how I started, and that's how I keep doing it. Now, I do want to ask you about one of the things that I find hard as a designer, and is thinking in the future when it comes to designs. Like,
Mhm.
because like in the summer, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna make a tank top, and I want to make this and that, and then I start making it in the summer. But given the design process, it's like you think about it, you start swatching, you make it, and let's say by August you're finished with your garment and you've written in your pattern, and then you have to test it, and that's like two
Yeah.
2 months, right? And then you're like, oh wait, it's not ready to publish until October, and it's like a summer tank top, and you're like, well, that's fun, isn't it? Because no one's
Yeah.
gonna buy it now in October. How do you deal with that? Do you even think about it? Are you more of a you know what, I'm just gonna make it anyway, or do you try to hold yourself back and organize yourself in that way?
So I think the nice thing for like a lot of my designs is they are kind of multi-seasonal.
Okay.
Like a lot of the things that I've designed are, long sleeve tops where you can make them with a cotton yarn for, kind of spring, summer. It's a little bit airy, a little bit breezy. But then you could also make it with a wool yarn and have it be like a winter design. I just released my Pismo Beach top, which I started in May of this year, had intended to put it out probably like September, early September, when it was still kind of warm out. Didn't end up getting released until beginning of November. Um, but the nice thing is like it's a granny square top. You can make it with whatever type of yarn you want,
Mm,
and it can be, you can make it long sleeve, you can make it short sleeve. I really value like customization,
yeah.
and trying to like give the maker ideas of how to make this work for any season. Um, So I kind of don't really think about that. I've designed a couple tank tops, but tank tops are easier to kind of put out for testing because they don't take as long. So it's a little bit easier to like plan short term, but then, big sweaters and stuff like that, I'll start making them in like September, October, November. But then by the time they're finished, it's almost March, April. And, I think it just depends on the type of garment. But I don't really think about it, I guess. I'm kind of the type of person where like if I want to make something, I'm just going to make it and then maybe I'll wear it later.
That's good.
So
You
yeah.
should. I feel like you should stay with that for as long as you can, because to be honest, that's one of my least favorite things. That
Yeah.
Given that my career is designing and I depend on it, I have to think about that.
Right.
It's like, and I wish I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Basically. So if you feel like you don't have to, then don't do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned so far size inclusivity being important to you and customization being really important to you. And as someone who has tested other people's patterns, what do you think is some of the basic requirements of a good crochet pattern?
I think just really listening to your testers is like the most important part of that, because I have a very average size body. So it's easy for me to design things for myself, but I don't know how things are going to fit on another person. Even,
Mm-hmm.
even people my like same bust size are going to look a lot different and wear things a lot differently than I do, just because everybody has a different body. And I think really just making the suggestions for them in the pattern, like, this is how you do this, this is how you do this. And maybe it's not written out fully, but like giving them options to kind of like giving them the encouragement to kind of try things for themselves, I guess.
I like that.
Because I am the type of person, I don't love made to measure patterns. I think they're great. I think that a lot of people love them, but for me, I like to just follow the instructions. And so when I am reading a pattern that is graded, I feel like sometimes it's hard to kind of get an idea of how you can modify this. And when you're an advanced crocheter or even intermediate beginner, I think once you've been doing it for so long, you can kind of use context clues and figure it out for yourself. But when you just have the instructions and there's not like any guidance, it can be kind of hard to figure out what to do. So I think just like making the comments and suggestions to here's how you can do this is really important. And I think another important thing too is going back and making an edit on the pattern even when it's already been out, because even your testers may not figure out different modifications that need to be made. I mean, especially when you're just starting out like me and you're not getting a full range of sizes for testing, just because I don't have that big of a following. People might not want to sign up to be a tester. They don't have the time. They don't have,
Oh, it's hard for everyone. It's not just you. Yeah.
But like,
it's a big ask, isn't it, to be a tester? I mean, you've been my tester before,
yeah.
and I love my testers, but I recognize that it's a very big ask for me to be like, hey, give me your time, make a whole garment, give me your feedback, and then I'll say thank you. And it's just like, I find it really hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful, obviously, but like, yeah, no, it's a difficult situation.
Yeah. I feel like I just said like a bunch of words that didn't really even make sense there, but like at the end of the day, I think it's just like listen to your testers, but also keep listening after the fact, because every person that makes your pattern is going to make it differently. And if that means you have to go back and edit it and send out an update to all these people that have already purchased it, like I'd rather have to do that than have it be something that then have the pattern not be perfect. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I modify my patterns all the time when people email me and they're like, "Oh, I don't understand this." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I feel like that instruction isn't as clear as it should be,
Yeah.
you know." And like, you just go back and do it, of course. I do think though, I feel like maybe crocheters we are more sticklers for the rules, and maybe we struggle more with like we need hand holding. I think when it comes to pattern, but like you said, you know, having that those suggestions of how you can modify it, I feel like an experienced knitter on the other hand, if they knit a garment, they'll be like, well, I need this for my body
Yeah.
and I know it. And I feel like maybe crocheters that are not so used to doing garments, they wouldn't even, that idea wouldn't even occur to them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you consider them in your patterns and provide that hand holding that makes it easier for them to think about these ideas of
Yeah.
how they can make it better, you know, like just adding bust size or taking stitches away from sleeves and stuff like that. Very cool. I think that takes a lot of maturity from you, and I am older, so I get to say that to you. All right. So, what would you say that is your biggest obstacle then in your business dream as a
Um,
designer or as a
s-
influencer or whatever you're trying to do?
so for me, I think it's really just having that self-motivation. I am really bad at planning things. This whole like process of designing for Plyful has really been like a big like test for me in, meeting deadlines and having to like submit things to another person. I think it's really taught me a lot about how to better market myself and better set deadlines and make sure I'm meeting them on my own. I am very much it's not right in front of me, I'm not thinking about it kind of person.
Mm,
Well, like open my Instagram and be like, oh, I haven't posted in 3 weeks. I guess I should probably do that.
don't get
I
me
think,
started.
yeah, especially this time of year where like everybody is going crazy and holidays
Hmm.
and cold and just all of that. So I think that's been my biggest obstacle, is just making myself do things, which I am again trying to get better for 2025. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get a
I
little
like
bit
that.
better at that.
And how do you feel about deadlines? Hate them, love them? I need them, and I appreciate having one. But
A little bit of both. I think I definitely need them, or else I'll never finish things. But I also am the type of person where I feel like deadlines always need to be a little bit flexible. Um, you know, I am a procrastinator. So I'm always gonna like meet the deadline,
who
but I'm gonna
isn't?
do it at the last minute. And,
Yeah,
sometimes you just need a couple extra days. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I would much rather have one than just be left to my own devices.
yeah. No, I 100% like when sometimes I get emails from companies and they're like, "Oh, we need you to do this and that. Like, would you mind?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Right. But like when they don't tell me when, it's like just goes away. And then eventually they'll
Yeah.
email me like 2 weeks later and be like, "Yeah, did you manage to get that thing done?" And it's like, you never told me when you needed it by, so
Yeah.
it's just completely out of the realm of possibilities that's gonna happen until you demand it, you know, and
I
it's
need to
just
be able to
awful.
plan to wait until the last minute. Like, I need you to tell me this needs to
Yeah,
be done in 2 weeks,
yes,
and I will start it
yes.
2 days before the
The
deadline.
night before,
Yeah.
yeah, and it will be there on time, but I need
Yeah.
to know when I need to rush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to
I
know
am
how much time
exactly
I
the
have to
same.
procrastinate.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not alone. And since you're new in this game, right? Like, can you think of any designers that have inspired you to get to where you are, or your design style, or some of their styles that you love?
Yeah. A couple of the people that first like let me test for them when I first started my Instagram account and had like 20 followers. Holly Woodward Designs. I'm probably gonna butcher some names here because I just look at them. I'm never actually hearing them because it's all on
Yeah.
Instagram, Holly Woodward Designs was one of like the first people I followed when I started like really getting into crochet. She was a big inspiration for me. I've tested for her a couple times. Kira Carnival Designs. I hope I'm saying her last name right. She was actually the first person that ever let me test for her parchment raglan. And she is so good at just designing like really wearable simple pieces, but they're so unique. She's been a big inspiration. Manatee Squares Laws, love her. I test for her all the time. I think all her pieces are so fun. Like, this is my favorite thing that I have made recently. I wear it all the time.
It's so fun.
She's so good at making like fun pieces that are still wearable. I feel like a lot of people will make like super fun granny square stuff, but like when I'm not really gonna wear that like out. But like stuff like this, I love. I love to be like fun in my wardrobe. So she has a lot of great patterns that are good for that. You have definitely been a big inspiration for me. I think you were one of the first people I tested for as well with the stripy Magnum pullover. That was like back when I first started my account.
Gosh, yeah.
There's so many people that I just look up to so much, and there's so many smaller designers too, even that like, I've come to be friends with through this whole thing, that we're kind of growing together. Pattern designing has become a big community, and I'm really just so excited to be a part of it and, get to know people like you. And it's really like heartwarming, just the whole thing.
Yeah, it should be. I feel like it is a community, and we should be all working together, and like, and just because you don't have as many followers doesn't mean that your input doesn't matter, or that, your vision isn't important and
Mm-hmm.
and good, So I think it's really, really cool that you're putting yourself out there and doing your best with what you're doing. And now that you've talked about wearability as well, do you think that's important? Because sometimes, like, I see some projects, some patterns, or just garments that people make that are like insane, right? Like so fluffy and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that looks so much fun, but I would never wear that. Now, wearability, how important is that for you? Or is it just for fun?
So it's kind of a little of both for me. Like, I love to wear my crochet garments out. I feel like crochet is such like a big community, but then I feel like I never see people wearing handmade items. Which, like, I mean, maybe it's just where I live. Like, I feel like I don't even like designers and stuff. I don't see them in pictures of just wearing their stuff out. I take a lot of pride in the things I make, and I'm also a big procrastinator, and I let a lot of projects just fall through the cracks and never finish them. So when I do finish them, I like to be proud of them and like actually still wear them. But then there are times where like some of these, big fluffy sweaters or like silly projects that like maybe you can only wear once, like I think there's a place for them too. Like, we go to a lot of music festivals, so I try and make stuff for that, and it's stuff that I probably will only wear once. I'm not going to wear like a mesh dress casually.
I mean,
But
come on, Sunday
yeah.
outfit.
Yeah, and it's so cute, but it's like, I think having like making with intention, I think, is really what it comes down to. Is, am I making this to last and to wear a lot, or am I making this just to wear one time? It's meaningful to me that I had something handmade. I was wearing, it wasn't my own design, but when I got engaged, we were at a music festival, and I was wearing my Flora top by Lola Crochets. So it's really meaningful to me that like I handmade this, and then something really important happened while I was wearing it. It's not something that I will wear all the time, because it's hard to wear, things with, a lot of holes in it, especially when it gets cold outside. But like, that's something that's sentimental to me now. So yeah, just knowing what you're making your things for is really like the big thing, I think.
I really, really like that, making with intention. I'm gonna steal that from you,
Yeah.
because I think it's so important as well. Yeah, it's not just, it's like the making process itself is important and enjoyable, and it's healing and everything. So if that's your intention, that's fine, but it's like knowing kind of what you're doing when you're making things. I think it's yeah, I like that a lot, actually. All right, let me see, where did I left off? Oh yeah, Chione, is that how you say Chione? I meant to ask you before we started.
I take a lot of inspiration from like Greek mythology and stuff like that. And I believe it's Chione. It's kind of like the glance pass. I've heard it pronounced a bunch of different ways. I've tried to do a lot of research on it, because I don't like to use, like another language if I don't really know what it means and whatnot. But Chione is the Greek goddess of snow. And when I was first designing the pattern, I don't know, I just felt very like in the winter spirit when I was designing it. But it wasn't a design that was specifically winter oriented. So I thought like having a nod to that in the name would be kind of, you can't tell that it's a winter design, but when you know the meaning behind the name, it is like meant to be sort of a winter piece.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I meant to ask you to tell us about Chione. So that's Maura's featured design for this month. So it's a hat and scarf set, which I love because it's perfect for this time of year. You know, we all love accessories. They're easier to make, faster to make, useless yarn, great for gifting. So I thought this is a perfect design for December, and I am so glad you did a wonderful job with it. Now tell us about it. Inspiration. What was it like working with that yarn? I am a huge fan of spin cycle yarns, and I was very jealous of the colors that you picked. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, so I had followed spin cycle yarns for a while, and I was so excited that you suggested using it because I have never, made the decision to just buy it. But I finally got to use it with this design, and I just love it so much. It's so pretty. I think the colors play so well together. This design was really inspired by, I set out to make a colorwork pattern. I didn't have like really anything in mind when it came to how I was going to do it or what it was going to be, whether it was going to be a garment or an accessory. I just got on, a little graph making thing and just started putting designs in and seeing what worked. And I wanted to make something that was going to be color work, but not too tedious. And I think I really achieved that with this because it's color work, but there's such big sections that it's kind of like, it's not changing colors all the time. And I feel like it's easy for yarn to get tangled with a lot of colorwork designs. I don't think I had that issue a lot with this. I just really wanted to make something that was going to be accessible for people that were starting colorwork, especially since this is my first colorwork design. I've made a lot of colorwork projects in the past, but I had never designed one. So I wanted it to be, accessible for, makers, but also easy for me to kind of get my feet in the water when it came to designing colorwork patterns.
Yeah, I love it. I think the big graphics are easy to go with, isn't it? And not too crowded, and to be honest, tedious is the perfect word for color work when you have to change over and over again. And yeah, I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I also love it. But it's hard to convince others to love it with you when you know how hard it is. And yeah. And so we are going to have a class on a Saturday, right? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of things you're going to be sharing in the class with us, please?
Yeah. So I think a lot of some of the things I'm going to be talking about in the class are really how to make color work kind of work for you. I feel like a lot of color work designs, designers can sometimes try and write their pattern in a way that like how they do things. I think for me, color work is all about like the nuances of it. You have the graph, you have how many stitches you need to do, you have your gauge swatch, but sometimes, some people like to crochet over their ends. Some people like to just do it as intarsia and leave the ends loose. I think the goal with color work to make it less intimidating is to find out how you like to do things and, how to, kind of modify, not even modify, just like how to make it easiest for you so that it isn't tedious and you're not getting your yarn tangled. Like for this scarf, there are bigger sections where you could just leave the yarn out rather than crocheting over it and, weaving in a bunch of ends. But for me, it was easier to carry, the strand through the whole thing because then it made the tension better. It's kind of hard to talk about without like my outline in front of me for this class, but I think it's really just,
that's okay.
Learning the different techniques and trying different things and figuring out how, you want to do it, like rather than, this pattern says I have to, crochet over my yarn I'm not using, but maybe that's not how you're comfortable doing it, and maybe that is like a big barrier for you in color work. So I think just kind of learning how to start from the beginning and make sure you're doing your gauge swatch in the way you're going to make your pattern, and making sure like, you're using the right type of yarn for your pattern. If, you might be, let's say the designer calls for fingering weight yarn, but they're also crocheting over their ends. Well, if you're working in, more of an intarsia way where you're dropping the yarn and not working over the yarn, the fabric's going to be thinner. So you may need to adjust your yarn or your hook to get back to that gauge if you're working in a different way.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's a very, very good idea. No, it's excellent, because I always tell people that these classes I love, because I am a designer myself. I've been crocheting for 20 years, and yet every single time I come to one of these classes, I learn something new. And it's like the same technique that I've known for years, and someone does it differently. And sometimes their way is better than mine. And it's like, it's so refreshing to know that, and like you say, to kind of have the freedom of choosing what techniques work better for you, for your needs, for your yarn, for your, affinity with your hands and stuff. So I think that's a really, really good idea. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited for Saturday. And yeah, so December is a hard month for everyone, I think. So we wanted to get things over and done with at the beginning, just so that people can come and enjoy their lives and enjoy making their garments and their gifts and everything. So yeah, we're gonna have things very, very quickly, which is nice for you, because you don't have to like be nervous for a long time.
I like to just get things out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us, is there anything else going on in your life? Any projects that you're working on? Any cool patterns? Anything else that you want to tell us about?
You know what? I am just kind of working through, I have a couple sweaters on the hook right now. I have one that's more of a worsted bulky weight yarn. I have one that's more of a fingering weight yarn. I'm trying to, in the coming months, work more with thicker yarns, because I do tend to design things with fingering weight and sport. And I feel like I want to try and branch out and like do more in different yarn weights. So I have quite a few projects that I'm working on. Hopefully a tester call coming very soon for one of those.
If people wanted to test for you, do you have some kind of way of doing it? Do they message you, or how does that work?
So I am always happy to receive like direct messages on Instagram. I usually just go, with a typical, Google form, just when I have the design out. I try and give a pretty wide testing window. So if you're interested in testing any of my designs, people can just, follow me on Instagram, and I will have updates there. I'm hoping to get, a newsletter or a website set up sometime soon where I can, have kind of just a tester pool, for kind of first access. But yeah, mostly just following me on Instagram is the way to go.
So your Instagram is Maura Makes Stuff, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get it right. So I love the times people have really different Instagram names, and I'm always like trying to figure it out. But yours is very easy, and I was like, did I actually remember it correctly though? Okay, good.
Yep.
So find Maura and Maura Makes Stuff on Instagram, and yeah, definitely give her a follow. Definitely try her patterns, and if you want to test for her, keep an eye out on her Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
And where can people get your patterns if they want to purchase them?
So I have patterns on Ravelry and Etsy. All my links are in my bios. I'm hoping to set up a Ribbler account as well too, because I know that's becoming really popular. Just haven't really gotten around to it. But yeah, Ravelry and Instagram, or Ravelry and Etsy. I believe should be the same name on Ravelry. I have to double check on my Etsy though, because I think it was already taken for some reason.
Really?
So I think I have a different name on Etsy, but you could just search Maura Huggins and my pattern should come up.
Yeah, and if you guys go to our blog, I wrote a post on Maura, so you can find all of her links and some of her beautiful designs in there to learn more about her. And all right, we're going to finish off with something fun that I haven't had time to do for a long time, and it's my favorite part of the interviews. And it's a this or that. So
All right.
quickly, I'm going to give you two options, and you get to choose whichever one you want. And then if you want to tell us why, then that's all right too.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just take away your name because it looks like that's my name. So, fingering or worsted weight yarn? I feel like you just told us, but
Yeah, fingering weight for sure. I just think it like with crochet, it makes such a nice. It makes them. It makes designs just look so much better. I think worsted and berry yarns obviously have their place, but I think you can do so much more with fingering weight yarn just because there's more space to work with.
exactly right. Smaller
Yeah.
stitches. Color work or lace?
Color work for
I
sure.
think we know.
Like I said, I started out with color work and I love it.
TV or audiobooks?
Depends on the day. I do a little bit of both. I think mostly TV, mostly reruns of New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Office. But you're looking for something
Nice one.
different, audiobooks for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Crafting indoors or outdoors?
I am usually indoors. I'm not a very outdoorsy person. I tend to get distracted when I'm crocheting outdoors. So inside, under a blanket
Do
with the
you
cat.
have like your special nook in your house where this is like your spot on the
Yeah.
sofa, or are
Oh yeah.
you? Yeah,
I sit
I
on the
like
couch
that.
and then my cats will sit right next to me. We have a big blanket and we just have a little snuggle
Oh,
day.
cute. Cats, multiple
Yes.
cats. How many have you got?
I have two cats. They're both girls. I have Gibson. She's like 3 years old now, and then we have a little kitten named Juniper, little
Oh,
Junie. She is perfect in every way. We found her under a trailer. Um, she's so cute. She does not have a tail. She was just born like that. It's very cute. I thought she would come and
oh,
join us, but she's taking a nap over on the chair.
oh, that's so cute. Yeah, funny you mention it. Last night, I literally just found this account of cats that are blind, and this woman has
Oh,
3 cats that have no eyes,
oh
and
my
they are the
god.
cutest thing because they look like they're just like kind of scrunching their faces,
Oh,
like constantly, like
so
they're
cute.
adorable.
Oh,
And I am so not a cat person, but my children are obsessed with cats and they
oh.
really want cats. And I'm like, do not convince me to get a cat because they're very cute, but I'm just not a
Yeah,
cat person. I'm not willing to accept that yet.
yeah.
All right. Snacking or drinking while you crochet?
Um, I am a beverage girly. I always have like a Diet Coke or a coffee or some fun little energy drink or something. I don't like to snack while I'm crocheting because I'm very messy. So I try
Yeah.
and avoid that.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I think I'm a morning person. It goes back and forth. I want to say I would much rather be awake at like 5 a.m. than be awake at like 2 a.m. Waking up's a different story, but I think
Yeah.
I like coffee and like calmness, so I like to be awake in the mornings.
Yeah, fair enough. See, I'm not a morning person, but I'm also quite useless at night. So
Yeah.
I think I'm just I don't want to do anything person, you know?
Yeah. I feel that.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream for sure. I love ice cream. It's probably my
Good
favorite food.
answer.
I mean, I love cake too, but I'm
Absolutely
also
the
more
right
of a pie
answer.
person than a cake person. So,
Yeah, fair enough. We were just in Italy a few days ago, and we had the best gelato in Milan. It was seriously like so good, and
oh,
I
that
finished
sounds really
mine,
good.
and I was like, Cal, I really want to go back in and get one of the ones that you ordered. He's
That
like,
would that would be me. Yeah, I love
oh,
ice
it was
cream.
so good. Um, running or yoga? What would be your preferred sport?
If I was an athletic person, which I am not, I would probably prefer yoga.
Yeah,
Um, I've done it a couple times and I think it's really fun. I just also am very much a sit on the couch kind of person. So I
yeah.
think
I feel like
yoga's a
yoga.
little bit calmer. So
Yeah,
definitely
I think
yoga.
yoga is the sport for us non-athletic
Yeah,
people, right? That you're
exactly.
like, I've done a sport. I touched my toes today.
Yeah, exactly.
That counts.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Maura, it's been so lovely talking to you. I knew I would like you and I knew we'd get along. And this has been so much fun. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for participating on Plyful. We love your design. We love your aura, what you're bringing to our platform. So thank you so much for being here. And anyone watching this, please do go check her out on Instagram as Maura Makes Stuff and check out plyful.com for her pattern, the Chione. Chione? Is that, did we decide? I
I
forget.
think that's
Yeah.
anybody out there
Chione?
watching and has to correct us, please.
There you go. Please do so. So it's a hat and scarf that is so lovely, perfect for all year round. Really, I think that scarf has a bit of a shawl situation. It's so great for when you're a bit chilly, even in the summer. Amazing. So I'm very happy. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.